Hey everyone, welcome back to Cocktails and Pajamas. I am Heidi Ferguson, and next to me is Fidesta Ramsey, and we have our special guest Lindsay Mann back with us for a third time, right?
Yes.
Yes, for a third time. Again, author extraordinaire of Beyond Love, and so we are going to start off with some checking in, and I'm happy to kick that off if that's what you two are okay with. So this full moon, wow, like I'm not one who really pays a lot of attention to the moon. I do, but not, I mean, I don't necessarily look at it. And I will say last month and then last night, like last month's full moon and then last night, I was like, I woke up, I don't know, whatever, like 3 a.m. to because I had to go to the bathroom. And it was just so extraordinary. And I was just like, wow, this is what I'm missing when I'm sleeping, right? so so how can I bring more of this into my life, you know? And so just exploring that question and everything that brings up. And let's see what else is happening. Communication has been good. I would say just kind of better than it was during the retrograde. Things feel a little bit smoother, especially with technology. I just, because there have been some choppy conversations, which is really kind of frustrating, and so that's been a lot better. And also in general communication, I feel for myself has been a lot clearer. I feel like I'm speaking clearer, maybe because I'm just better with myself, mental health wise. And because when I'm not healthy, like mental health, when my mental health is not healthy, I'm not clear even with myself. So I can't be clear with anyone else. So I'm really appreciating that. I'm feeling good about that. Yeah. And I heard from someone recently that I haven't heard from in a really long time. So I'm having some mixed feelings about that. I'm just having some mixed feelings. And my tender heart wants to go to that person and be like, I can fix that for you, right? Like I know, and yet I'm like, it's just not my place. And I've got to let that go. And that's really hard when you care for someone and you love someone so much and you realize that they're on their journey. They've been on this journey for a long time. And at some point they'll figure it out. Hopefully they'll figure it out. So I think I'm going to stop there. I'm feeling pretty good about my check-in, and yeah, I'm going to end there. Does one of you want to continue?
Lindsay, I'd love to offer up the floor to you. I'm very curious how your world is unfolding. Thanks, Heidi.
Mm-hmm.
Relating over there with some of what you shared.
Yeah, that was a beautiful, inspiring share. Thank you. My check-in. I feel like I'm finally feeling a pivot into more inspiration, feeling a little bit more inspired and open after a long period of things getting pretty dark and complex and foggy. And it was interesting because it had actually had this buildup of all of this mental overwhelm and old stuff, like the old stories. And you're like, why is this in my head? You try and like cut it off. And it's so interesting. I actually had said something out loud to the sky, to my guides, spirit. I was just like, this stuff that's in my head, I want it to stop, and I want it to like be released once and for all, easily, and like completely. And I got really sick. And it's funny because I look at my journal, and the day that I wrote down, like, please help me release this, that day or the next day, I got really sick. And while I was sick, I was using the being sick, the fever, the everything to like burn up all the stuff. And so coming out of being sick, I'm, getting well. And I felt that there was this massive shift and release that was happening, very confronting. And so I'm feeling almost renewed. I'm still coming out of it, but I'm feeling that something really big just happened, and I have a lot more clarity and peace around things that I was really struggling with unnecessarily, just because the loops. And so, yeah, I feel like it's kind of right on time, even with like the seasons almost changing, and maybe this full moon a bit. I do connect with the moons. I have journals upon journals of new moons and intention setting and full moons and releases and culminations. And I go and I check back and I'm like, what came to fruition? Or, and it's fascinating to see. And also to see how things have come to fruition from those intentions. So yeah, that's my share. I feel like there's been a big pivot, and I'm open and curious to what that's gonna lead me to now. So thank you for having me. I love seeing your faces. I'm really excited to be here with you and on this full moon. Like, who doesn't love a getting together on a full moon? So thank you so much for having me. That's I'm complete on my share.
Thank you for sharing that, Lindsay. Yeah, just hearing you in sort of a called in dark night, and a purposeful detox through the body temple, right? Which can be a very wise and efficient way to go. And just really glad to feel and hear the renewed spirit you're coming through with. Yeah, it feels good to me. Yeah, gosh, both of you said things that just resonated with me, and I think that'll be part of my check-in too. Heidi, this really caring for people and feeling like I might be able to help, and I have to check the shadow of the rescuer there, of like, tag me in, I could do something here, I could help, and my work being to like lean back. I'm a leaner inner human. And so to do this, to yield to spirit, to surrender to life, to kind of take the hands off, I'm going to say someone else's wheel on life, right? Is unfamiliar, a little humbling. I find it's like a living meditation. I almost like feel the impulse again, and then I was like, nope. And then 2 hours will go by, and it's like, oh, and it's like, nope. So it feels like I'm training a horse or something. It's like just when I let my eyes off, it's quite an opportunist in wanting to go back into that loop, which Lindsay, you talked about, these tapes that play in loop and can be kind of feral and powerful and tantalizing, and yet like there's no good there. It's like junk food. So just having a boundary with myself around, yep, I see you wanting to do that. Nope, that's not what we're doing. A little bit of the wise adult dealing with the little kid. And that's an ever unfolding. It's like not a one-time thing, I guess is what I want to say. And then, yeah, gathering under a full moon with you sweet women, like I feel like that is ancestral. That's like primal. It's meaty. It feels good to have set this up this way. So really grateful. And I think maybe last share, just being more in touch with my rage these days. Like I feel fine, I'm good, and I'm ragey. Um, whether it's at the government, whether it's at just the inhumanity. And something I shared with a friend of in the past, because I couldn't self regulate so well, I would collapse under the enormous injustice of things. It was just so painful. It still is. But now I find I'm more livid, set to action, finding a place I can serve. And that's a big deal for me because I used to definitely go into collapse like for days when the enormity of like an injustice or an inhumanity was in front of me. I didn't used to be able to walk through it this way. So just noticing progress, I'll take it. Yeah. And yeah, I don't think I can totally get rid of the part that's like angry, appropriately angry, I should say. So yeah, that's my check-in, and I want to open like the floor for our topic, or at least one of our topics, which is visibility. Given the full moon in Leo, I think of Leo being like in the sun and fully bright, and then it's a full moon. I'm curious what comes up for you anywhere on this topic of visibility.
So I want to piggyback a little bit on what you shared about, because last week we talked a lot about emotions and feelings and how some emotions we're a lot more comfortable with than others. And I think I used the term bad emotions. I think I did because when I listened to the podcast, I was like, no, I don't think I want to say that. So what I'm aware of is that, when we're emoting, we not only are more, we are expanding ourselves, but we're also a lot more visible. And even if no one is in our space, we're a lot more visible to ourselves. And so to give ourselves that is a real gift, because the other is shutting it down. And if we shut it down, we're not really going to see anything. But if we decide to be like, okay, I'm going to open myself up and I'm going to share all of it. And it doesn't matter how I look or how I do it, because there's no right or wrong way to do it. I'm showing a part of myself to me and maybe to other people that I may not have been aware of before. And rage today could feel very different than rage last week, or rage tomorrow, or rage a month from now, right? Or anger, or fear, or sadness, or even joy or happiness, all of it. And so because we're changing all the time, and that's the beautiful thing about being human and being alive and being on this earth, and then being with amongst others. Yeah.
So is the topic of visibility specifically on the visibility of our emotional state? Is that the main point with visibility, like allowing ourselves to be seen in all of our colors?
I think it's definitely one angle, right? It's also like,
yeah, I
yeah,
think it's one facet, if you will, for sure.
Yeah.
yeah. And it also could be like what's become visible to me.
Yeah.
What has been illuminated in these times for me? Like, what am I certain about? Right? It could be that. Yeah.
So interesting, because of as I hear, you're sharing about, the emotions and allowing yourself to be seen in your emotional state. And I keep thinking like, my greatest strength is like hiding or trying to hide how I feel. And with those bad emotions, right? Don't let anyone see you angry. Don't let anyone see you sad. And all of the, life experiences that taught you the consequences of those emotions, and you kind of like hold on to it, right? So while I see so much is illuminated to me in this very like receptive sit back and watch. They're like, I'm not necessarily presenting and showing in a way that I am so visible in my emotional experience. But I also believe that my emotions are written on my face. So I don't know, like I kind of feel like I can't hide anything really, but I certainly try, especially when it's something like anger, rage, sadness. And it's, you know, I think it's a protective choice to like hide those parts, because it's like, oh, if I'm angry, I'm bad, I'm scary, people are afraid of me. If I'm angry, that's too much, that's too aggressive, that's too much emotion, or there's too much anger, I don't want to add to this raging fire in the world of everyone being angry, so I don't want to contribute to what's already there. But anger is so important, like we have to express our anger, and below our anger is usually sadness, and you know, stuffing all that down leads to being depressed and anxious and all that. And for me, when I think about sadness, like when I'm hurt, this is like the scared animal that Farishta's always speaking of in relationships, like that kicks in where, you know, and maybe this is everybody, but maybe somewhere along the line we learn that when we're sad, we're vulnerable, we're weak, we're you know, prey for a predator, we can be attacked. And so that was, you know, my general experience. And I think about animals in the wild, like when they're hurt, they're in trouble if a predator comes by, you know. And for me personally, in my life, I guess the times that I have experienced those weaker, more tender, soft, emotional states, there has been a threat, you know. And so I can't show that I'm sad or I'm hurt. I'll just hide away and go tend to myself and take care of myself and come back when I'm, you know, feeling like stable and strong and confident and, you know, can take on anything. Visibility is really interesting. I mean, exposure, right? Like being exposed, and right now being exposed in any capacity, sharing yourself and being visible. I mean, if we're talking about, you know, media, social media, things like that, you are open to all types of perspectives and projections on you. Like you're just, you know, so it's interesting that being visible is scary. And I think it takes a lot of inner strength to not be affected by, you know, inner strength and trust to not be affected by those external projections or whatever can come your way. But to, you know, stay true to yourself, being clean and clear with yourself, it's like the most important thing, right? And sometimes visibility can catch us off guard and we sacrifice ourselves, we dim ourselves down, or we hide ourselves away to protect ourselves from that. So it's just, it's a wonderful topic. It's a very layered, juicy topic.
I know, I'm feeling excited over here, just even hearing your shares around this. About what I'm feeling inside of me is like, I have a bias, right, from my own conditioning, totally. When I was sad, I was like cared for, soothed, right? There's like, if sad was present, I got taken care of. If angry was present, it was go to your room, blare heavy metal, deal with it kind of solo. And so for me, sadness is easy. Weeping and grieving and being sad feels like I'm a little doe in the meadow, like wants a little like soothing. I've had to have more work around like, is my rage welcome? Right. And Lindsay, I just want to say to you, like that makes me feel excited. It's like your rage is welcome with me. Like bring it. I can handle it. I won't take it personally. And I think it comes from feeling like I have myself. And there's nothing that you're feeling that I can't relate to. Right? And maybe that's emotional capacity. Maybe that's just good practice. But yeah, being visible when I'm angry. I've been practicing that recently with my partner, especially. Like, where's my rage crystal? I'm like really angry right now. And like, we're like looking for it. Or my anxiety. Like, okay, there's a lot of stuff outside of my control. I think of anxiety, often I felt like embarrassed, maybe somewhere in the shame family, embarrassed when I'd get anxious. Instead of being like, it makes so much sense with all that's going on in the world that I would feel appropriately anxious. But being able to, like, knock on his door and be like, I'm anxious. I need us to clean the apartment up a little. I know that's not going to solve everything out there, but it would help me in here. Could we just spend 10 minutes like decluttering our space? The fact that he loves me through that, he judges me less than I judge me there, it's reparative. So that's the kind of visibility I'm feeling into, is like, I don't love me there. But someone else is like, okay, cool. In 15 minutes, let's do it. Let's just get the place feeling better for you, right? It's helping me trickle in some love to that place that's like, oh God, am I this delicate? Am I this fragile? Is this, nobody else seems to be this way, right? And yet I think so many of us are this way, and we're just not having the conversations to normalize that we're all feeling stuff. Even when I have clients come to me and be like, I don't have anything to talk about today. Oh, we find something. There's always something living there. Something's kicking underneath all that I'm fineness. So I'm just going to leave that there.
100%. 100%. All of that. Yeah. So what, Lindsay, when you were talking about if we don't express and we push it down and we shove it down in whatever capacity that is, it will erupt. It will come up, and it can come up sideways. It can come up through our bodies. If we get sick, that's something really to look at. Like if someone has anger festering inside of them and they've never dealt with or talked about or done any work around, and they have a heart attack, like lifelong anger that they've never worked with, and they end up having a stroke or a heart attack, that's something to look at. Like, that is something serious to look at. And so I mean that might sound like an extreme, and it's really not an extreme because it does happen to people. So what came up for me when we were talking about exposing ourselves and being vulnerable in our emotions and whatnot is this. Like, and I think I shared this with you recently, Fidesta, where I said that I have never apologized for crying. I have never apologized for crying. I have never excused myself or said, oh my God, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I'm like, fuck it. I'm fucking crying. I'm getting emotional. It's what it is, right? And so my question is this. If we're judging ourselves, like, let's say I said to myself, oh my God, I'm about to get, I'm getting emotional, whatever, and I'm sorry for crying. Do we expect that of other people? Do we judge other people? Do we look at other people as being weak or less than, or whatever term we want to use when they're feeling emotional, whatever the emotion is? Like, are we judging them, or are we holding space for that human to have their full human experience, right? And so I guess what I'm working on right now is inviting people, us, of course, the three of us, but those who are listening, our guests who are listening, to simply hold space for people, to hold space for yourself, first of all, but also hold space for other people. to have their emotions, to have their reactions, to allow them to get angry. People are allowed to get angry. People are allowed to feel sad. People are allowed to feel the way that they feel. But so many of us are afraid of, and we're walking on eggshells. Enough of that. That's where sickness comes in a lot of times. So, yeah, I literally got a download as Lindsay was sharing, and then you were sharing, and I was like, I got to put this out there because I just think it's really important to state. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I love this sort of everything that you two are sharing. Like there's like little seeds that pop up, right? That break ground. And it's like, oh this, and I think part of holding space is self-regulating, right? Being able to, of course, be with your own emotions, be able to tend to them, and then if it comes up in someone else, to know it's an event. That really helps me. Like, this person's not an angry person. Like, nothing's wrong with this person. They're going through an emotional sequence. It's a weather event. It will pass. And I think it passes with greater grace when it's held in love. And to your question, Heidi, I think the most powerful people I've ever met are highly sensitive, have a great degree and range, a spectrum of their emotional world available to them, and a certain level of resilience because they're always outside of their comfort zone feeling things. So I wouldn't judge them in the ways that I think I have judged myself.
Fascinating. That's really fascinating. Huh. Okay, well, on that note, I'm curious to open the records and kind of see what, what comes through. Yeah, I'm excited to have Lindsay here as our Akashic record reader. We've had her on before. She read for us last month, or actually, yeah, in January or December. I don't remember. I don't even know what day of the week it is, so I apologize. But you get the point. Yes.
I'm excited too. I haven't opened the records on a specific full moon. I've opened the records on eclipses before and fun things like that. So we're gonna open the records on the full moon in Leo. It's also called the snow moon. It's got the bone moon. It's got a bunch of different names, this moon, but we'll say full moon in Leo. So I'm going to say the opening prayer. I'm going to do it quickly for time's sake. So I'm going to open the records on the full moon in Leo, and then I'll say the records are now open, and you can feel free to ask whichever questions you want to ask about the full moon. If you want, I can ask some questions, general questions like, what are we kind of collectively is being illuminated, or what are we collectively releasing or working through, or what is collectively coming to fruition. Like, those are kind of the benchmark questions I might ask, but I also want you guys to, whatever's on the table for you, we'll do that. Okay. So I'll say the opening prayer. Some of it is said out loud and some of it is said quietly to myself. So I'll just start. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God. Help me to know the Leo full moon in the light of the Akashic Records, to see the Leo full moon through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of the Leo full moon have for it. The records are now open. So I just want to share, and we'll see how this might circle back. But usually there's like an opening message or an opening visual. And so we'll see what this represents symbolically. But the opening visual, they were showing me a silver flask and someone taking a sip from a flask. But there's like a question of like, what's in that flask? Like an elixir. There's something about like drinking. There's something about taking something in, like a medicine or an elixir, or if your medicine is alcohol, like whatever. But that's what they were showing me. But I very much felt this like cool liquid going into me and specifically passing my throat chakra. So there's something there, I think. So we'll see. But feel free to jump in, whatever questions are on your mind.
I'm curious if that might be specific for you and anyone else who has been ill and is still coming out of this, whatever throat, issues they might be having, like a cough or a tickle or whatever. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's.
They're saying it's for everyone. And what they're saying is they're kind of showing this like this time period of everyone like la 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 la, talking, fighting, airing out their grievances, la la la, fight, like all of this. And now it's like soothe this. So it's a moment to soothe this, but there's something about this, like they're saying like pivotal, soothe this, and then they're saying singing after. So instead of this like barking, have something like taking in this soothing kind of elixir, taking a beat, taking something in instead of air going out, liquid in, and this soothing medicine. And then they're kind of saying like speaking more peacefully. They're saying speaking more responsibly, speaking more fairly, more equally, more openly, but they're really emphasizing responsibly. And then they're also saying singing, like celebrate, like there's something to celebrate. So I like that.
I like that too, especially as someone sings. I'm hearing the sacred pause, and then a kind of a rules of re-engagement, right? How are we going to re-engage with each other in a way that's responsible versus reactive? Right? There's no choice in reaction. There's a lot of choice in responding. So thank you. Yeah, and my question is around all the threadbare hearts out there. The world has many of us that have endured a lot. And what is this full moon asking our hearts to let go of?
They're showing two hands on like a rag and wringing it out, but they're showing this rag as like our heart, right? And there's something interesting about the wringing it out and allowing some of the emotion, the fluid, the liquid to drip, wring out some of that emotion. But there's something about the wringing, this tension hurts, there's pain. So there's an emphasis in feeling the pain, wring it out, allow the emotion, allow things to flow, get it out. But there's something specific about this pain point and to feel it. They're kind of saying it's not without pain, but they're also saying the pain is important. They're saying the pain is vital information. And they're showing that there are some hearts that are like sopping wet that need to be wrung out. There are other hearts that are dry and crusty. And if you wring them, if you grab them, they're going to turn to dust. But there's something about the dust being a reset. It's like it crumbles into nothing, but now there's all this air, there's all this space. So they're showing two different versions. If you're feeling like dried up, if your heart is just, maybe it's burnt to a crisp, or maybe you're not feeling the love, that you feel like there's nothing in there, you're feeling like there's nothing in there. So it's either way, it's going to make space with either the air or the wringing out of the emotion. They're showing two different ways that the heart could be feeling right now.
Heidi, do you have another question?
Not at the moment, but I wanted to piggyback on what you just shared, or what the record just showed. Because we were just talking about the importance of emotions and feeling them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it is painful, right? And I think a lot of times, I will speak for myself, when I numb myself because I have something big going on, I numb myself because I don't want to feel it. It hurts too much.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, regardless if I, deal with it 10 weeks ago or tomorrow, I'm going to feel the pain at some point. So yeah, that was, and the visual that I got when you were describing the really sopping wet heart, and then the dry crusted heart, and yeah, the symbolism, really
Mm-hmm.
important stuff there for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And then the reset, yeah. Wow. So I'm curious about, as in this new moon, in this time of expanding ourselves as humans, is there anything specific that we should be seeing about ourselves, or noticing about ourselves, or is there anything that we're not seeing or aware of that is necessary to know?
So what do we have to talk about? It was a very vivid image. They're showing like a crocodile or an alligator swimming in the water, which is kind of out of left field from what we were just talking about, but it was really vivid. They're showing this alligator in the water, but I can see it on the surface, right? So it's made itself shown. It's not under the water. I can see this alligator, and that it's very clear danger. So there's something about danger, seeing danger. And I'm getting, is it real or perceived danger? So, but there's something about having the clear distinction. Are you seeing the danger? Like, oh, this is really, it feels loaded. Let me see, what is the danger? Perception. So they're actually saying, like, your perception, is your perception seeing this danger come up out of the surface, breaking the surface, so you can see it really clearly? And then there's something about the difference between it being under the water. I'm getting that it's on the surface. I'm getting that the danger is on the surface. I'm getting that that we're seeing things clearly. We are seeing things clearly. That's what they're saying. It's on the surface. We are looking at whatever, whatever we're seeing it. It's there. We can see the alligator, very clear. And this is danger. Interesting. What are they referencing?
I wonder if they're referencing whether or not we trust what we're seeing.
Ah, they said bingo! Exclamation point.
Because if you don't trust what you're seeing or perceiving,
Yeah.
your intuition, you're screwed.
Yeah, they said bingo with an exclamation point. So whatever we are seeing it. Whatever we think we're seeing it.
Yeah.
It's not under the surface, it's on the surface. This alligator's on the surface, we're looking right at it and we're like, that's an alligator, danger.
So trusting our experience.
Ooh, we're not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's this collective realization, oh, what we see is what we're seeing, and we're not, they're saying, they're giving me the words, we're not stupid, you're not stupid.
Yeah.
They're actually saying, this is interesting, because a lot of times it's trust your third eye. They're saying trust your eyes. This time, trust your real eyes, like your two eyes. I mean, all of them are real, but I'm just saying the ones that, because usually it's trusting this one. They're saying trust these. Right. They're like right in front of you, right in front of your eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. That's powerful. Because it's like, what are we not talking about, right? Like it's all of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not one specific thing. It's just if you're looking at alligator eyes swimming on top of the water, you can trust your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
I will also want to say that I don't feel like they're not giving me the sense that this alligator is coming to attack me. I feel like it's passing in front of us. It's passing us, but we can see it. Mm-hmm. I don't feel an attack. I just feel like I see danger. Mm-hmm. And that's a dangerous predator. I'm watching it, but it's going somewhere else. It's passing. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Woo. I have a question around this particular full moon in Leo and how we can harness this energy to, in whatever way each person feels called, to step forward and be more visible.
They're saying great performance and perform. And they're showing this, like, there's this feeling of like a fan, like a fanning your flames. It's even going back to like this singing, and I'm getting this kind of like vocal exercise, like this, it's got this wave to it, but it's like a mix of like fanning your flames, but it has to do with performance. Interesting. And we were talking about visibility, right? So they're saying step into a spotlight, and that is very much a Leo energy, right? So they're saying step into a spotlight, be seen, be heard. They're kind of like, they're like in your corner, in your corner, in your place, in wherever you feel strong. You want to, perform, you want to show yourself, be seen. They're saying step on stage. And they're almost showing like an open mic night. And it's actually like a variety show. And so people are doing different things, and it's like, I'm good at this, and I'm going to show myself, and I'm good at this, and I'm going to show myself. And they're saying spice of life. Like, it's the spice of life for us to get up on stage and show who we are. And they're showing like, it's not only fun for you to be seen and to be heard, but it's fun for other people to witness new things. So like, this is spice of life, like show yourself. There's actually saying, show yourself off. And they're showing like a peacock.
Heidi, are you having a conniption over there?
Holy cannoli.
I'm watching Heidi like take deep breaths, so I'm just tracking you.
Yeah, because God, this is so hard. So what's coming up for me is, because I mean, you both know me, like I'm very real here and I speak my truth. And the download that I'm getting is they need to hear more truth. And I'm like, I just, I don't know if I'm ready for that. That scares the hell out of me. It just does. And we are only as sick as our secrets are, right? Like we're only as, and it's not that I have, I can't really say I have that many skeletons. I don't know. I mean, at this point, do I have any skeletons in my closet? There are things that I don't necessarily talk about with the public. Let me put it that way. Some people know my stuff, but I have not voiced it in, like, here. Yeah, so I need to sit on that for a little bit. And I will sit on that for a little bit. Yeah.
And
Heidi, do you want to ask? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you want to ask anything around like how to work with fears and visibility?
Yeah. Actually, as a follow-up question to that, given what I've just shared, is there a way for anyone who's struggling with this, right? Like being more exposed and feeling more vulnerable. Is there a way for, or what do we need to know? That, I guess that's my question. What do I need to know? And anyone else who's struggling with this, what do we need to know about being more visible and being more vulnerable?
So they're saying lowest stakes, low stakes. Like if you're putting yourself out there, have it be a low stakes performance, not some big filled, packed space where everyone can see you, like everyone. It's like, so the way they're showing this is two ways. They're showing this like the fanning of your flames. The fan is also cooling you down. So it's this funny thing of just like, I was getting this sense of like, okay, someone wanting to like show themselves and they're getting anxiety and they're freaking out and they're getting really hot and nervous, right? So it's like interesting thing of like the fanning of the flames, like outwardly looks like, I'm like this, but what it's really doing to me is cooling me down. But then what they showed was, instead of this person being on this stage, like at a variety show or a little open mic night, they showed someone just step on a little wooden box in like an empty room. But it's like, that's why they're saying like low stakes. It's like this practice. They're like just step up, like just step up. There's something about practicing the performance. Practice the performance. But they're insisting on low stakes. And they're also saying not serious. Like that's why I think they're leaning on this kind of like lighthearted variety show feeling where it's like funny and, everyone's like, everyone's in there doing their best or their worst, and just like having a good time. They're saying pressure off. Like don't show up where there's going to be this, they're saying like bombardment of projection. Show up where there's this collective understanding that they're saying there for spice of life. Everyone's there because they're curious about each other and they like differences and they understand, they're kind of saying like levels of experience, and everyone's at different levels and it's just a good time. That's kind of the energy that they're kind of trying to describe about this performance, is like, do it where it's they're saying like a safer place where you're not going to be attacked, because the purpose is to they're saying gently for you, like on your anxiety level, to gently be seen and heard in some capacity that works for you. They're saying it could be a group of friends. And you decide to have a fun little talent show together. That's it. Like, it's really innocent. It's really playful.
I love the idea of like we're all bringing like the spices, the flavors to each other, and like the variety show. I'm also hearing like don't take yourself so damn seriously, and maybe something around safety, feeling safe
Mhm.
in maybe the lower stakes, and maybe eventually in the high stakes, right?
Mm. So as you're speaking, they're actually saying that we're coming out of a place where we have just been shown or being revealed where we're not safe, where we're not cared for, and we're feeling done with that. And so there's even like they're kind of saying like population shifts, community shifts, friends, family. And so it's just become very clear that there's been a turning point in our relationships and our communities. And we know where we don't feel safe. And we are open to where we do, or we know where we do, and we are no longer tolerating not feeling supported, like not being with where you feel like you can be yourself. So they're kind of showing that there's this transition that's happening, we're coming out of, but that we were like in it. We were really in it, where it was just in our faces, like, you can't be here anymore. You can't tolerate this space, this group, this interaction anymore. One way or another, you hit a finality. They're saying grand finale, the end, closing a chapter, closing a book. And now it's very clear where we feel like we belong, where we feel safe and held. They're saying hands to hold, where we have this innocence. We have people whose hands we could hold in hard times, but they're saying there's been a turnover. So they're saying that getting up to perform will feel easier soon.
Yeah, I as thank you for all of that, because that was really helpful for me and really supportive, because I noticed when I was, imagining myself exposing, I had a lot of self-judgment, a lot of self-judgment. And um and that's completely on me. That's no one else judging me. That's me judging myself. And so when you talked about this community of support, and how we're kind of the ethers are changing, the energy of the world is changing, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, it doesn't have to be so terrible.
Mhm.
And what if the other thing that, like, the big download that I got is, what if you let go of your own judgment, Heidi?
Mhm.
Like, what would that look like? What would
Mhm.
that feel like? It would feel like $1,000,000,
Mhm.
you know? Um, yeah, that's huge. Yeah.
They're saying in support of that, they're saying old parts of us, like we get caught in old parts of us, that judgment, and they're saying old belief systems, and they said it helps if you can form or create a version of yourself, and they're calling it like an alter ego. And that's part of the performing. They're kind of saying lean on, interesting, lean on an alter ego for the performance, just a little bit. They're kind of stretch yourself a little bit. They're kind of saying allow yourself to fully be and share what you want to share as a performer, pretending that you are a little bit of somebody else, but really it's a part of you that you're expressing. This alter ego is something that you've created that comes from within you. You're in your 3D avatar vessel. It's still you, but you're expressing a new or a different side of you, but it's still a part of you. And they're kind of saying if you like act it, you're like a little bit more extreme within that. And so you can feel safe if you feel like you're acting, performing. This is an alter ego, like call it all these things, but it allows you to express what you really want to get out.
I'm really loving this idea because I consider myself at least presenting as like warm, gentle, sweet. But there's a part of me that's like bold and edgy and intense, and that can come out in certain places. But to have it be like, here are some of my shadows that get to express, right? And not in an alter ego that's so completely divided from me, because I think that's what sometimes musicians' personas are like. But really to be like, no, this is just an extension. I get to have it be like out of the closet here. That feels juicy. Heidi, how are you feeling?
That's really bright. I'm trying to. Am I in the dark here? Can you see me okay? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better, and I really love the idea of using an alter ego, because I'm not going to go into detail now, but what I will say is at this time in my life, that I'm, having some anxiety about as I think about it, I did feel like I was out of my body, as if I was having, on some level, out of body experiences because of what I was doing. And so, because if I felt as if I was being present as Heidi, I don't know that I would have acted on a lot of that stuff, as a way to protect, as a way to kind of, put up my guard a little bit. And yeah, that totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're saying that, like, you can be whoever you want, whenever you want, however you want in your life. What keeps us as we've been is being locked into the memories and the projections of others. The expectations of others to see you a certain way. But they're literally saying you can have drastic transformation in one day if you allow yourself to be whoever you want. The issue lies in when you see the people who have known you and they don't recognize you, and then you get they're kind of saying you crumble. What you want to be or how you want to be, even if it's just for a day or if it's a whole life transformation, what keeps us from allowing us to step into that fully, if we want to, is because other people are remembering wanting us to be a certain way. And it's like this little, like, pulling you back to who you were. Like, you can't be that because you're this in my eyes. But because there's so many external people in our lives, like there's so many people, that's why. But they're literally just saying, like, you can actually be whoever you want, whenever you want, however you want, at any time. Like, they're kind of saying, like, flat out. And they're going like this. They're like, this is your life. They're like, you be who you are. You be who you want to be. And there's something about be who you are and being who you want to be, and something a little bit about this alter ego helping you get to who you want to be. So leaning a little bit, they're kind of like edging into the alter ego. Doesn't have to be a full, complete thing, but like every day you can edge a little more into this alter ego, and eventually you become the alternate. The next, but they're actually saying it's the next version, the next level of you.
That is juicy, people. I love that.
Yeah. And they're kind of like, don't be serious about it, about the fact that you can absolutely be whoever you want. They're showing someone like transforming in front of me. It's like their hair was long and now it's short and it's pink. Like they're showing, like, a total change of dress. Someone wears black and then they start wearing wild colors and prints. Like they're actually going really serious, like really like change. And they're like, you guys do plastic surgery. Like they're just like, you can do so many crazy things to transform who you are.
Right.
But you get caught up in the past and people's perception of you, their memories, their expectations, they're saying.
Mm.
That's the part that feels weighted to me, like the weight of other people's expectations, and like, can we just shrug them off?
Mhm.
Yeah, they're saying like you take a position of teaching them who you are now.
Mm.
So instead of like you are the teacher and they are the student. So if you're really, they're saying if you're hell bent on changing and being somebody different at any point, you be that person and then you teach people who you are now. And they're saying let them deal with it. And you just focus on being who you are and who you want to be. They're kind of saying like keep feeding that. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Who are you? Who do you want to be? And they're saying it's ever changing. And they're saying don't stop. They're kind of like this is the fun of life. They're saying like this is how we can live many lives in one life as one, right? Is to allow ourselves to be ever changing. And they're saying don't be serious about this. Have fun.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I don't know, Heidi, did you have any follow-up questions? I'm minding time as well over here.
I don't. I'm just looking at the time and want to be respectful of everyone's, energy levels and whatnot. I don't have a follow-up question, but thank you. This was so enlightening and helpful and yeah, really.
Hopeful.
Yeah.
And hopeful.
Thank you so much. And it really is that Leo energy. I love it. Thank you so much. Such a gift.
Yeah.
Lindsay, do you need to close things?
I can close. Let me sign off. It's up to you guys.
Okay.
Okay. Do we want to do a chat pack question?
I'm open.
A quick one? Okay. What do you think is the most overrated piece of art in the world?
I don't know that much art, like in terms of like names and people.
Sure.
I just feel like anything that's priced out at a level that someone can't enjoy. I don't really have a specific piece of art. Yeah, but when it becomes so exclusive that it's not inclusive.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah. So I'm going to say The Scream. Are you familiar with The Scream? I just don't understand it. Like, and I honestly don't know anything about the piece of art, and I don't know anything about the artist, and maybe it would, maybe it would support me to read a little bit, but I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get why that's famous. Just saying, that's me. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of struggle with that. I struggle with that answer. I don't know what to say. Because like, I appreciate and love art so much. And I kind of feel like we choose the value on it. And like, certainly it's like, I'll see, like Banksy makes jokes all the time. Well, he'll like put a piece of paper up and say that was like $20 million, something like that. Like, I don't know. There's like jokes on it, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I feel a little stumped on that one, just because I really like, I love art so much, and I guess I see value, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm struggling. Sorry.
Fair enough. No, that's totally okay. Yeah. Oh.
Good question.
So as we close our time together, just want to say thank you to Lindsay for joining us this evening, and for our guests who were with us for the ride for this last hour. Thank you for being with us. And if you commented, thank you. And if you decide to watch later and you want to contact us, feel free. Give a shout out, whatever you want. And we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
So much. Have a beautiful night.
Thanks, everyone.